On this week's NFV SDN Reality Check, we speak with Aryaka to discuss the growing SD-WAN space and potential benefits for enterprises and telecom operators. All right, well, thanks for joining us on this week's NFV SDN Reality Check. I'm your host, Dan Meyer. I'm Editor-in-Chief here at RCR Wireless News. And this week we are joined by Gary Sevounts, who's the Chief Marketing Officer at Aryaka, to talk a bit about the SD-WAN space. So, hey, Gary, thanks for joining us this week. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us this week.
Very good. Very good. Maybe start off with, for those that don't know much about the company, maybe you can provide a little background on the company, maybe kind of its founding, maybe current operations, kind of where you guys operate today in the space.
So Aryaka was founded in 2009, and our focus is MPLS replacement. We provide a global SD-WAN solution that helps global enterprises to get complete connectivity around the world. That includes applications, both on-premise and SaaS, anywhere in the world, their sites, as well as mobile workers and partners. So we provide one unified solution for all connectivity needs for global enterprises.
Got it. And I know you guys have some recent funding, I think, from the telecom space as well. Maybe talk a little bit about the funding you guys received there.
Absolutely. So we received $45 million round B funding that was led by Third Point Ventures as well as Deutsche Telekom Capital Partners with participation of our existing investors. And that brings us to overall funding of a little bit north of $120 million.
Very nice, very nice. And I know, I guess from the telecom side of things, I know we cover mostly telecoms operators here, and obviously it does seem like over the past couple of years, the SD-WAN market has gotten a lot of attention from the telecom side of things. And obviously with DT investing in you guys, there's continued interest there. I guess as you look at the market in terms of how SD-WAN has kind of developed and the pace of it, I guess what's your general view on what's been happening in the SD-WAN space?
Absolutely. So there are really two factors that are driving the interest of telcos in SD-WAN space. So from one side, what's happening is enterprises are moving increasingly to the cloud, right? A lot of applications are either SaaS or cloud enabled. And of course, there are platforms as a service or infrastructure as a service based on Azure and AWS, as well as some other vendors. The core of the problem is that MPLS technology that was in the heart of the connectivity that telcos provided has become legacy. The challenge with it is that, as you know, the MPLS technology needs some kind of a termination point. And when the applications were in the data center only, that was not a problem. MPLS was a great technology because it provided a private network, it provided, guaranteed latencies and all that good stuff. However, with applications moving away from the data center into the cloud, into SaaS vendors' data centers, obviously the enterprise cannot control those. The enterprises cannot put the MPLS appliances in other companies' data centers, right? So the industry tried to address that with things like cross-connect, direct connect, but those only address like a few % of SaaS applications. So telcos are finding themselves in a situation where they don't have a complete solution for their global enterprises, especially in this era of globalization where, part of operations are in Europe, like headquarters in Europe, headquarters in US, have like a design team in, Europe, some development in India, production in China, some other development in Brazil, and then you have mission critical applications that are time sensitive. You have to have MPLS type of connectivity for those, yet MPLS is legacy, does not support the cloud applications. So telcos have a huge dilemma where they're providing legacy service that is not addressing global enterprises' needs. So the other challenge with MPLS has been its inflexibility, which takes like weeks to months to deploy around the world, as well as it's incredibly complex and expensive. because you provide MPLS, then you have to put WAN optimization boxes, network monitoring, resources to get things going. So SD-WAN tries to solve those two problems. So the first problem it's trying to solve is the cost and complexity. The SD-WAN technology is saying on the edge that, hey, you don't have to send all the traffic via MPLS.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you offload less important traffic to internet? And we'll provide you this router that is a hybrid. You know, you can have some on MPLS, some over internet, and, you know, we'll give you the smarts based on application, which route to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
On your complexity, your cost, and you can deploy things faster, given you don't need MPLS, which is a really good solution for regional deployments.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge still is the internet is not good enough for intercontinental, you know, like long distance communications,
Yep.
especially for time sensitive applications. The latencies are very high and the packet loss is very high.
Mm-hmm.
You combine them together, you have minutes of delays on refresh screens of mission critical applications, which is absolutely not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, SD-WAN cannot solve that problem today because it relies either on MPLS or internet. And the internet, again, you don't control it. You can't guarantee latencies or packet loss via internet because you don't control it. No matter how much error correction you do, it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Then MPLS cannot help with SaaS applications, maybe 1-2% of them, but really doesn't cover it all, right? So there is the huge hole that exists today, and telcos are struggling with it.
Mm-hmm.
So Aryaka is the only solution that addresses that challenge. So what we have done, we have built a global private network around the world with 26 points of presence that are located strategically where 95% of businesses around the world can connect to those within 30 milliseconds or less. So once you connect to that, you can basically, it's like having a direct connect to your every single application you have on-premise or SaaS, you know, platforms, mobile employees, your offices, your partners. It's the global private network that we build. Think about it, it's like software defining MPLS.
Mm-hmm.
It's like MPLS 2.0, however, MPLS has hard architectural limitations that it cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
So build this network to provide that. Then on top of that network, we have built a network stack software like WAN optimization, SD-WAN, network monitoring, CDN, all delivered as a service.
Mm-hmm.
So today, we're the only solution out there that can address the mission critical applications for global enterprises, as well as all connectivity needs in one solution delivered as a service.
Mm-hmm.
So from Deutsche Telekom's perspective, they saw an opportunity, the unique technology and solution that we have, and them being forward-thinking, advanced telco, recognizing the future, you know, they made the investment, and we're really excited to work with such a partner.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And I guess that really talks to, I guess, the concerns about maybe the robustness of these types of solutions, because I know from the telecom side of things, operators are always a little nervous about ensuring that there's that SLA issue or make sure the quality is always there. It seems like then what you guys are able to do by having these different basically access points in various parts of the world is kind of ensure that type of robustness and quality level. At least that's what it sounds like. You guys are able to at least provide that to the operators.
Oh, exactly right. I mean, the big differentiator here is that we're not relying on internet for middle mile.
Yeah.
And we're software defining MPLS. So you basically, the providers, if they partner with us, they would get, or the ones that partner with us, they get MPLS grade SLAs and guaranteed latencies, mm-hmm. Which is really like MPLS, mm-hmm. but they're getting for everything, not just applications that are on premise.
Interesting.
So we provide 99.995%, SLAs, and so it's it's pretty amazing. I mean, we have over 500 enterprises, global enterprises, that rely on Aryaka for their mission and business critical applications around the world that are time sensitive.
Interesting. Interesting. Now, I guess as you guys go to the market, do you target the operators? Do you target the enterprises? Do you target both? I mean, what's your, I guess, go-to market business model for getting the product out there?
So our initial business model has been around enterprises.
Okay.
So we have enterprises that come to us inbound because they heard about our solution from their peer CIOs, from their peer network administrators, IT directors, right? They saw us, our coverage, right? They're coming to us asking, this is amazing. Is this too good to be true? Right? We never knew that there's something like this technology that really like software-defined MPLS plus all networking built in, delivered as a service, right? So we have made a huge success there, right? Like I said, there are over 500 global enterprises, big brands, and that are using us, right? So as a result, telco service providers are noticing us as well and coming to us saying, hey, we did not realize there is a solution that can be delivered as a service like MPLS that also includes the WAN optimization, SD-WAN, all these other components, right? So for telcos, this becomes very low risk, almost risk-free, to deliver the modern connectivity to the enterprises, their enterprises, the ones that serve global enterprises. It becomes the first time they can actually offer a global footprint to those enterprises and serve their needs with one single solution. So that's where they're seeing opportunities. So we're seeing a lot of interest from service providers, partners, resellers, right? And we're very excited about that.
Interesting. Are you guys seeing, I guess, more uptake in terms of a hosted model or is it on-prem model? What are you seeing at least initially with the deployments today?
So the beauty of this solution is that it's delivered as a service.
Okay.
Think about it. Take a typical enterprise, and those are anecdotes that come from our customers. In fact, I did have this conversation with a customer about 4 weeks ago in Asia. So here's a typical situation. A global company, he was dealing with 21 MPLS providers. 21 MPLS providers around the world, right?
Yeah.
I was saying that I feel like I'm a service provider myself, right? I have to deal with all those folks, contracts, SLAs, QoS agreements, legal stuff. It's completely out of control.
Yeah.
Right? On top of it, okay, now I have MPLS, right? But it's still not addressing my SaaS applications, so I have a hole there. But at least I have MPLS around the world that is like a patchwork. And on top of it, I need WAN optimization. So that person had to buy WAN optimization boxes for all their locations and have an army of network administrators to fly all over the place and configure that. By the way, a problem is that some of them don't talk to each other, and oftentimes the WAN boxes were misconfigured. So they actually had a detriment on the performance of certain applications. So you have to have a network monitoring software from a third party to be able to keep an eye on all these things that are happening, right? And another network administrator group that was monitoring that and addressing, mitigating the disruptions. Right? And then he's like, okay, so I deployed SD-WAN on top of it from a fourth vendor to be able to do the SaaS applications on a regional basis, right? And to him, it's like, okay, this is not, acceptable model. Think about complexity, cost, and oh, by the way, dealing with 21 MPLS vendors, it took him 4 to 12 weeks to deploy in new locations, even if they were, moved around, across the street. So look at that model, and then Aryaka replaces that all completely. So Aryaka provides you complete connectivity solution around the world, right? WAN optimization, SD-WAN, CDN, network monitoring, all built in and delivered as a service. So you don't need on-premise deployment, right? We just ship you a small appliance that you put in a branch or wherever you want connectivity. We configure it for you, and that's it. You don't need to deal with it anymore. Your network administrators become actually can look at more strategic picture rather than constantly putting fires down. They could be looking at more bigger view, what's going on. They can provide business value for the first time. So we have a new category of network administrator that are administrators that are super excited about their jobs, much more strategic, interesting job for them. From the other perspective, for CIOs, this is dream come true because they don't need to deal with outages anymore. They don't need to deal with 21 MPLS vendors. There's just one solution, that one vendor that they deal with, and it provides much faster connectivity, and it's only at like a third or a fourth of the cost of the previous model.
Interesting. I guess, is there a proprietary nature to the deployment though? Because I mean, it would seem like to gain that kind of control that you would have to have almost everything basically on a specific platform for the most part. So is this somewhat proprietary, and does that kind of work with operators who, or enterprises that are looking more towards maybe an open model? I mean, I guess how do you balance out those two things in the marketplace today?
That's a great question. So think about construct versus consume. So in a construct model, where let's say you have 200 locations around the world, right? As a CIO, IT director, network admin, architect, CTO, right? Saying, okay, how am I going to construct my network? I have like 21 MPLS providers here, there, and there, so I have a patchwork. Okay, I spend about like 3-4 months on putting that together, right? Now I need to get SD-WAN provider, but let's see if it's an open, like a Linux-based, or it's like Cisco, or what is it? Oh yeah, it has to work with my Cisco gear. That's right. And then how do I combine that? Because now I have a problem, right? This SD-WAN vendor, does it work with my, WAN provider, or Cisco boxes? Oh yeah, network monitoring software, does that work with all this other stuff, right? I don't know. Well, maybe I need some integration. Oh, by the way, my WAN optimization boxes, or does it support this version of this application, or it doesn't, right? Oh, this new application I'm deploying, is it WAN optimization gonna affect it? Let's put all these network admins figure it out. And oh, by the way, when I have a new business initiative that requires a new application, it's gonna take me 6 months to deploy around the world. Why? Because I have to go through all this nightmare again, make sure everything works, right? And it's integrated, and it will take me to deploy like new MPLS connections to new locations that I didn't have before, or upgrade the bandwidth, or move. It's going to take a while. So dear CEO, that you're asking new business initiative, it's going to take me about 6 months to deploy if we're lucky, and it's going to take me like a couple of $1 million, right? That's the nightmare that the construct model brings for CIO or the CTO or folks who are constructing that. So now compare and contrast that with consume model, where you don't care if it's open, you don't care if it's closed, you don't care if it's all transparent. All you're saying is like, Aryaka, we're deploying new business initiative, and we need in 40 offices around the world, or 200 offices around the world, right? And we need it, let's say a month from now, 2 weeks from now, right? You don't need to deal with WAN optimization boxes, Linux, Windows, what kind of CPU you need to have, integration points, compatibility issues, because it's all purpose built as one solution and delivered to you as a service. That all compatibility has been tested, has been vetted out. 500 enterprises are using it with, over 90% of stickiness, customers coming every year after year after year, right? So to you as a CIO of an enterprise, this is fantastic, because all you get is one small appliance. Everything else is taken care of. Think about it as AWS model for global networking. This is it's disrupting the whole construct ecosystem, which becomes 2, 3, 10 times more expensive and complex and longer to deploy than just consume. Again, if you look about AWS, before AWS came in, the CIOs would buy server farms and deploy, and what happens now with AWS, you just offload, it's delivered from the cloud as a service, right? We've done exactly the same thing for the networking, for the global networking.
Interesting. Now, I guess, what about in terms of the security aspect of this? Obviously, I know enterprises are always a little nervous about security aspects of their communication connections and things like that. I guess, how do you guys approach making sure that the security part is not, compromised in any way when a company deploys this?
Which enterprises absolutely should be concerned about security, right? Because there are a lot of actors, from the people who want to steal stuff to governments, to companies, espionage governments, corporations. Cybersecurity is a big deal. The best way, obviously, to deal with cybersecurity is a layered security model, right? Mm-hmm. Most enterprises have that. One of the weakest links, however, is the internet. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, you don't control the servers and the networks that your traffic go when you use SaaS applications. It's going more over the internet, mm-hmm. right? Yep. And again, MPLS is not built for SaaS, so you don't have a private network like MPLS would for SaaS, yep. right? Yep. So the best way to address this is by putting your traffic through private network. Mm-hmm. That's what we provide. It's significantly more secure because it's going through our global private network. It's controlled network. Mm-hmm. It's not open to the world of the hackers to figure out all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. On top of it, we have built the state-of-the-art security measures in there, from encryption to DDoS protection and other methodologies, right? Again, the fact that it's a private network mm-hmm. that is controlled, the flow is controlled, is significantly more secure than wild west of internet, that you're providing your core company jewels, going back and forth and hoping that somewhere some hacker won't be able to crack like your 128-bit or 256-bit encryption. Yeah. And big difference there.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. And then I guess in terms of where you're seeing deployments these days, I know I talked to somebody about this a couple weeks ago, and they were saying that they were seeing most interest in SD-WAN deployments, at least initially, more North America focused at this point, a little bit interest in Europe, a little bit in Asia, but mostly North America. I guess, where are you guys seeing deployment models, at least today for you guys?
That's exactly right. So why is most interest in North America? Because the existing SD-WAN solutions are regional SD-WANs. Mm-hmm. Because they rely on internet. Yeah. And again, internet is good for a region. Once you go internet connection from US to even Europe, it does not work. I'll give you an example. I was talking to one of the CIOs of our customers of a global enterprise last week. Mm-hmm. They have headquarters in Milan and operations in US as well. The video conferencing software just did not work over internet with SD-WAN or without SD-WAN. They tried a variety of SD-WAN solutions. It's a cloud-based conferencing, so MPLS, could help to a degree, but it was very expensive, right? Mm-hmm. And it just did not work. The quality of the video was terrible. We would not be having this conversation if I was in Europe or in China somewhere. It would not work. The voice and the video together would not work. That's just an example. Now think about if this doesn't work, you add data like the mission critical applications. Delay there is it's unacceptable for a company, right? Mm-hmm. So hence the SD-WAN solves the problem for regional deployments. That's why SD-WANs are deployed mostly in North America. Mm-hmm. Or in a small region in Europe, or in a small region in Asia, but not between those continents. So Aryaka is the first and only global SD-WAN solution that is designed not just for regional, but for global deployments. Mm-hmm. It solves the problem of global communications, of global applications, global connectivity, along with regional connectivity. So we provide also regional. But the focus, the problem we're solving is this middle mile.
Yep.
That is the biggest problem today, right? So
Yep.
now let me ask you a question. With that in mind, about 98% of our customers are global companies, global enterprises. So 50% of our bookings and revenue last year came from North America-based companies, and then 50 from companies that have their headquarters outside of the US. So it's half and half. Again, we're very unique in that space.
Yeah.
Right? Because we solve the global problem.
Interesting. Well, obviously, the space has just been it's been amazing to kind of watch how much it's grown. I know you guys have been doing it for years and years now, so for you, it's nothing new. But at least from the outside looking in, it's, at least for us, just seeing kind of the increased attention SD-WAN, especially from the telecom space, has been pretty amazing over the past year or so. Obviously, a lot happening in the space, and a lot still needs to happen there to kind of continue to grow the market. But we definitely appreciate the great insight on the topic today, Gary. Thanks so much for the insight there. It's good to talk to you and kind of catch up on Aryaka and see what's happening there, and just getting some good views on the market itself. So we definitely appreciate the time and insight today. Well, thanks for watching this week's show, and make sure to check out our next NFV SDN Reality Check when we schedule to speak with Fujitsu on its work with AT&T's Open Road M interoperability trials. Thanks for watching.
NFV SDN Reality Check with Dan Meyer is a production of RCR TV. To suggest show topics or to reach Dan, you can find him on email, dmeyer@rcrwireless.com, and on Twitter @Meyer_Dan. For more Dan, news on NFV SDN and everything wireless, find your way over to rcrwireless.com.